want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity. Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
Good day, Mad Men Mafia.
I am Kirk M. Samuels.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations for you. And today's a kicker, man. We got a good one today.
Yeah.
Y'all better hit record,
Yeah.
better hit like and share, and you're going to want to listen to this one again.
Bring it. Bring the guy talk, man. We talking guy stuff, man.
Yeah. That's for sure. Hey, Mr. Samuels, have you ever had a threshold moment? Have you ever had a moment that was like a turning point in your life?
Man, I've had several, man. I mean, I got a whole encyclopedia of those kind of things, man. And you know, there's times in life where you transition from one thing to the next, or life brings, you know, sometimes we step into new phases of life, and sometimes life brings us new phases. Sometimes it's by choice, and sometimes it's by chance, man. And but either way, you know, part of that life journey, man, if you on this side of the grass, is, you know, you guaranteed that, man. You guaranteed it. Like there's going to be changes and different transitions.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you something. Wouldn't it have been nice during those transition periods and those moments to have like a coach or like a sage person, somebody kind of help you through that?
Every guy should have a pack of guys in his life for several reasons, and that's one of them.
Yeah. Well, to not gild the lily anymore or paddle on too much longer, we have one of those experts. We have one of those people. We have the man himself, Mr. Morgan Rich from Threshold Coaching on the show today, who's helping us to get through these threshold moments. How you doing, Mr. Sir?
Mr. Morgan.
Doing so well. Nice to be here with you guys. Nice to be here. Thanks for what you put in the world.
We do what we can. People still haven't canceled us yet. They try every once in a while, but we still here.
Keep showing up.
Yeah.
We keep showing up.
Yeah. Sometimes we actually try to get canceled. Or we try to push it. We try to offend some people and push the envelope and all those kinds of things, man. Because, you know, sometimes if you're not living on the edge, you're not maximizing probably who you can be.
Yeah, I like to say that. I actually do that all the time, to say, like, you know, if you like you said, Kirk, I mean, that's it. If you aren't pushing the edge and getting into interesting territory, then, you know, are you really living? You know, when we are expanding, when we are stepping into new territory, there's gonna be discomfort, and there's gonna be, you know, ups and downs, and there's gonna be challenges. And so instead of trying to pretend there's not gonna be, let's actually head towards them and expect them. And like you're saying, like, come on, like, let's go find them.
Yeah.
So
but that being said, Morgan, I mean,
buffalo technique, right? Instead of the cow, you want to do the buffalo instead of the cow technique. You know, where you go into the storm versus running away from it.
For sure. I mean, I would say for sure that I think there's a lot of tendency to want to avoid discomfort, to try to avoid challenging things. And what I say, and like you were saying in the opening, you know, who wouldn't want to have, you know, guys around and people around to say, no, let's go. Like, let's go into these places. Like, we gotta go into these places. This is where life gets juicy and delicious and meaningful. Like, that's where it is. And so, you know, we gotta get good at those things.
Yeah. You know, but Morgan, I wonder if, man, from your perspective, and obviously we'll get into your background here shortly, but man, we're riding a wave right now with this particular point in the conversation. But do you wonder? I almost wonder if kind of part of our underlying, I'm going to say, issue these days as far as Western men and Western masculinity is the fact that we have a tendency to seek comfort and avoid danger, whether it's emotional or, you know, maybe even physical, but definitely emotional and you know, in the intimate areas of our life. But do you, from your perspective, man, do you think that maybe that's kind of one of the underlying reasons why we kind of are where we are as Western men?
Absolutely. I mean, I think 100% I mean, like you were talking about threshold moments. I know for me, when I left home when I was 15 to pursue my dream of being a professional hockey player, and pretty soon after I left, made a huge life decision. The dream really disappeared because I realized, oh, I'm not as big and athletic as some of these other guys. Like it was pretty fast, and it was a pretty big like drop off the threshold and plunged into darkness. And then couple years later, my dad dies. I'm 18 years old. And again, like a lot of darkness, a lot of really challenging things went down. And I'll just say that those things, I was lonely. I was scared. I was about as close to suicidal as you can get, like not ever going to off myself, but definitely like, okay, like this is so painful that I like if a train came and hit me, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and
Mhm.
being in those moments, and I didn't have a group of guys at that point in my life. And that's why I do the work that I do now, because I needed trusted men who I could rely on, who weren't gonna like pull me down a path of just the nonsense of the world, but who could really be there with me in the challenging moments. And I'll just say, I think it's really challenging in the world today. There are so many distractions, so many things to be addicted to, from porn to video games to alcohol to drugs to sports to whatever it might be that gets us away from that discomfort that you're talking about. And for me, all the meaningful, juicy, important things in life, I like to say we got to go towards, not away from those places. And
Mhm.
that takes some strong selfness.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of set the example of something we talk about quite a bit is that a lot of times your purpose is found in your pain, and going through those dark moments and going through those things and surviving them can lead you towards your purpose. But to your point, you really have to like go into that shadow. You got to look at those things and get in the mirror and go, well, why did this happen to me, or what is this, and I didn't like that, what can I do with it? And so from your perspective, I mean, obviously now you're coaching and you work with men a lot, you have all these different offerings, but like how can guys, if they don't have that support system, how can they really get into a more healthy system, or get through that kind of dark night of the soul without it ending up poorly?
Yeah, right. I mean, one way to say it is we have to get good at dying. Like we have to get good at dying
Mm.
and being reborn. Because a part of us dies in those dark moments. The dark night of the soul is the smaller, younger, um, inexperienced part of ourselves has to die, and in that something gets reborn. So part of the training for the unknown, which I talk about and coach and work with all my guys in my groups and everything, and we can even do this right now, is a practice of coming home, putting my hand in my heart. And this is part of my daily practice. I do it 5 minutes at least is my commitment every single morning. It's called a meditation or a coming home, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. But it's just take a breath, and here we are doing this breath right here. I can do this breath. I'm not dying. Everything's okay. I can be right here and I can breathe. And I practice doing this in this place right here where there's not a lot of, you know, it's like we're okay here. And in this practice of coming back to self, of just getting quiet, of just starting to notice how my body feels, notice how my emotional body feels, notice how my spiritual body feels, that is a training, is a practice that then when you get into one of those moments, Jason, that you asked about,
Hmm.
right? Like how do I do it when things get really intense, when things get really uncomfortable, when things get really scary and painful and I feel really on the edge? What do I do? What I say is if you have a practice of coming home, of being right here, of just saying, okay, things are going wildly haywire. I am really scared. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I don't know how to be, but I can just be, it's okay. Like it's okay. Because something is going to happen eventually, and just to name it, like we don't know where we're going to be even 15 seconds from now, let alone a minute from now, let alone 5 minutes, let alone tomorrow. Like, we don't know, but what we know, when we get there, we're going to be okay. Like, we're going to know what to say, or how, or we're going to have something to do. And so if we can just breathe through the discomfort and trust that on the other side of that, we'll be able to be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's the practice.
And I'm speaking in generalities. I mean, so what? I mean, sue me. But we as a collective group of men can be afraid to go chase the dragon, to go find a dragon to fight. Um, and sometimes that dragon is inside of us, right? And but in any case, when you find that dragon, the reason why it's not something that many of us sign up for, is that dragon is dangerous, right? That dragon has fire. That dragon can burn me up, and often what we find out is, that fire doesn't come to destroy me; it comes to purify me. It comes to, like what you were just describing. It comes to burn away all of the parts of me that I don't want, that I don't need, that don't serve me or my world, my circle. So, us have
Mhm.
having the guts to go find the dragon, man. That's what gives us the perspective. That's what gives us the peace. That's what gives us the purpose.
Mhm.
That's what gives us all of that. And like I said, and the scariest dragons are the ones that are deep inside of us, man. The ones that live in those dark places that we don't like to talk about.
100%. And then again, we gotta go toward, like I say, I can do hard things. Like, we gotta go towards, not away from, life's rich, important moments. And there's when I work with people about dreams, they talk about things coming to get them in dreams, or monsters coming to get them. Like, well, I've had the same dream over and over again, and the monster keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I keep running away, trying to get away from the dragon, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. I'm like, okay, well, why don't you stop and take a breath, put your hand on your heart, and face the monster and face the dragon? Because it's probably getting bigger and scarier and uglier, because it's trying to get your attention. It's just trying to say, hey, my friend, I got something for you. It's right here. And you seem to be not paying attention. And so I'm trying to get your attention in the best way I know, by getting bigger and stronger and meaner. Eventually, you're going to have to, figure that out. But if we just turn and face it, like you're saying, Kirk, so often it's like it's there and it's got something for us. And then again, we go back into the dying part, that it breathes fire, it burns us up. And like we know from forest fires, that forest fires are massively important and regenerative for the ecosystem and for the forest. Like, yes, they are wildly destructive. Yes, they create a huge amount of havoc, but they also renew and refresh the land and the trees and all the slugs and spiders and grasses and soil. It's really important, and out of that gets birthed something new. So
Well, I hate
yes,
to
we
cut
got
you
to.
off because we got to take ourselves a break so we can renew and refresh ourselves here on the Madman Masculinity Show. So we'll be right back. You're listening to Madman. This is KLDC. We'll see you in a minute.
Sweet. That was a
Awesome.
fat.
That's good
That
stuff,
was a
man.
Yeah.
Oh, it goes by
Thank
so
you.
quick.
Fast 13 minutes, man. That was crazy.
Oh, it
Yeah.
goes by. Yeah. Wait till the whole hour's over, and you're like, we just got started.
Yeah. Yeah, it does go by pretty dang quick, man. But man, golly, just like you said, man, that thing that's behind us, that's chasing us, man. Sometimes when you just turn and face it, when you turn and confront it, you realize it's not really what you thought it was, and
Yeah.
and you realize that you won't realize how strong you are until you really go in and face some of those dragons and realize that you can defeat them.
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I'm sorry. I was gonna say
go.
promote my book again. I just published my newest book because of that facing the devil in you. It's that same as facing the dragon. Is you got to look within,
Yeah.
find that inner child part, find that shadow part, accept it, acknowledge it. And when you do that, then it gives you this whole new like rebirth, like you're talking about, this whole new phase of life, this whole new strength,
Mhm.
because you're accepting these part of yourselves that you were running away from all these years. And I think it's just magical. It's powerful when we do that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Congratulations on the
Well,
book.
Thank you.
let's get into who you are, Morgan.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
do
Let's
that in
start
segment
off
one.
with that, man.
All right.
All right, here we go.
I got more to say about that too.
Okay.
Oh, of course. And we're back.
Yes, we're back.
We are back. Your boys are back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 1220 AM, in the Mile High City, on the interwebs, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Holler at your boys on YouTube, Facebook. You know, man, you can find us on various apps. You can tell
Spotify.
Alexa. You can tell her to play us, and
Should always be
she'll find
listening.
us on there. But I'm telling you, man, you know, this is deep stuff, man. And again, first of all, Morgan, just thank you for being on, man. So now that we kind of warmed up the engine a little bit, let's explore. Let's get into who you are, man. Where you from, man? What hood you repping?
Yeah, well, I grew up in Chicago, so I am a Chicago boy. I grew up in the city, and then right now I'm tuning in from Portland, Oregon. So,
All
you
right,
know,
man.
after the adventures of schooling that weren't so good for me, real challenging in the academic world, you know, survived that and then made my way out into the world of nature, where I'm in the Pacific Northwest, which is I find to be one of the most beautiful places in the whole world. I've been around the world several times, and just it's beautiful out here. One of my most favorite and peaceful and alive places is playing and laying down in the waterfalls and streams of the Pacific Northwest. It is
Yeah.
it is my happy place, and the water's cold, so you gotta get ready for your you know, your cold water experience.
Yeah.
But there's
Mhm.
nothing like being in the Pacific Northwest. So grateful
You
to be
you
here.
got
Brought my
more you got more hippies and hipsters out there than we do here in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado, you know, you got some of those Colorado, but yeah, I mean, there are certainly you know, a lot of yeah, I would say people tuned into, and we were just talking in the break a little bit, but you know, that place of, you know, we were talking about the dragon and the monster, and the other thing that's in there, and I think that what happens, what I find a lot of people in Portland and Oregon are around is in that monster is the hint. And I'm curious, Jason, about your book, because it talks about, like, inside of that is this thing, this inner guidance, is this inner knowing that's like, knock, 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 knock. Like, we know how to be the men we are, the beautiful, caring, thoughtful guys. We know what it is to be someone who cares about the world. We know what it is to be connected, to be passionate, to be loving. But we've forgotten because of this crazy ass culture. Sorry for the swear, FCC. You know, this I don't know if that's allowed or not, but this crazy culture that has us lost in a trance of thinking that we're supposed to be something else, and that all the external stuff matters more than the internal stuff. So I'm grateful to be here, and I do find in both my hockey games and my ecstatic dancing here in Portland that there are some really beautiful people out here, all the you know, hippies and crazies, and people really who are searching for a really deep connection to heart, and bringing some really beautiful things.
Yeah, it sounds like you get a lot of I mean, you got the beautiful nature, you got a lot of the folks who probably fled the cities or the, you know, the East Coast congestion and want to get out into something a little more grounded, more you know, natural. And we get a lot of those folks here in Colorado as well. I mean, beautiful nature does something to you. It opens your eyes, it opens your soul, it does something to you, it makes you feel more grounded. And I think even to your point, finding yourself as a man a lot of times means facing that dragon, facing that devil, looking in the mirror and not running away. You know, being the buffalo running towards the storm versus being the cow and running away from it. And
Yep.
that's where you find your foundation. That's where you find your strength. Because I know Kirk and I both, and we've told our story many times. Both of us have dealt with addictions of several kinds and come
Yep.
through it. And then
Yep.
there's a strength of, like, after that, those things don't bother you anymore. Like, people can say all kinds of stuff to you, like, "Psh, whatever, I already did, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, I'm good."
Yep.
So, like, when you're working with your guys, like, what are some of the things, like, especially nowadays, what are some things that you're really, like, having to focus on, and how do you kind of guide them through that?
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not unlike what you guys went through. It seems like, it's about connecting into that inner guidance. And then it's about really realizing, and part of my morning meditation, again, is coming home to myself, is saying, no matter what's happening out in the world, that I've got me. Like I'm home right here. And even if things seem really haywire, and that I can come right to this place and have myself. And so by doing so, what happens is that my need to be approved of by the external world, my need to have people think, that my validity as a human comes from outside of myself, that collapses. So the work that we do is really to let go of all of that external validation stuff, and learn how to really come home into our hearts, into the place of I am my unique, I am the only one who can live my life. I have my unique set of circumstances, my unique body, my unique way of understanding the world, the skin color, the body type, my parents, my friends, where I grew up, where I am now. I'm the only one who wrote this book, or these books. I'm the only one who can do that. And so my job is to live my life. And so if I can
Mm,
do that with my full passion, and if each of us can do that with our full passion, like be the beautiful men that we are here to be, then I think things really break open. So and again, like not caring what people think, not doing it for approval, not doing it because it gets validation. And I don't need that, because I've got me. I
mm.
know, I know that each day I live my life with as much passion, care, love, intention as I possibly can. And I make lots of mistakes, and then
Mm.
I clean them up as best I can.
So it sounds like you're describing ego death.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's right. It's like letting go of the need to be approved of by the external world. And when you do, it's incredibly freeing, because then then it's like, who I am isn't what my resume says. Who I am isn't my job. Who I am isn't what I wear or what car I drive or what kind of house I have. Who I am is a beautiful human who cares a huge amount about other people, who loves deeply, who cares deeply, who loves being vulnerable, who knows that vulnerability is strength, not weakness. And so yes, like really letting ego death of letting go of that, and then and building practices, like to your point, Jason, in your question, building practices to do that work, because that's not easy. Like that's the darkness, right? Like being
Mm,
in the darkness, you got to get through that to start to really come home.
mm. Yeah, because I mean the world can almost when I say world, I'm just talking about like the fitting into the norms and all those kinds of things can convince us that that the measure of success is how clean your armor is and how pretty and shiny you are and everything is. And so we live to shine and polish our armor, when in actuality, a true knight should have some dents and dings in his armor. I mean, there should be some evidence that you've been in some battles and some fights. And so we could spend our whole lives trying to be shiny and pretty and perfect and good looking and and present well to the world, so that we do hear the yay, you, attaboy, all those kinds of things. But again, the true measure of success, the guy that really, as a matter of fact, the guy that really gets respect from other guys is the one who has the dits and the dings and has been through some stuff, has crossed over some thresholds, has got some some dirt under his nails and all those kinds of things.
Yeah, and I would say it a couple different ways. One is and who doesn't need to brag about it, and doesn't need to,
Right, 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 right.
posture about it all. Who's just is like, no,
Hmm.
it's this. I've seen the darkness, and I've worked my way through it. And what I would say, I
Yeah.
was listening to some of your guys. What is masculinity in 2026? And you guys had some really
Mhm.
beautiful thoughts and reflections on some of those things. I'd say, like, what is it that our women really want? What is it that our partners really want from us? You know, they don't want the shiny armor. They don't want
Mm,
the right clothes. They don't want all the shiny stuff. They want is our hearts. They want our presence. And if we're able to be present and listen with the ears of our heart and be emotionally available and do the work, one of the reasons why we want adult men and other men in our lives is so that we have a network of men who we can come to, like what you guys have here, to talk about, to be with and connect with, and say, okay, we got to do our work. We got to be here for each other in the emotional vulnerability, and not the nonsense of saying like, yeah, like I'm all, like posturing and all that, that kind of stuff, and thinking that vulnerability is, that we make fun of each other and poke fun and like all that. That's not healthy stuff. We want to encourage each other. And that's what happens in my groups, is not only is there an absence of all of the male nonsense locker room stuff that happens, right? That's beautiful if when there's an absence of all that teasing and hazing and the nonsense. But then there's actually encouragement, right? There's actually like, yes, go ask her out. Like, yes, go listen. Yes, please, be like, take the step toward, not away from the challenging place. And we got you. So when you fall down, we got you, man. And we're going to celebrate the failure just as much as we're going to celebrate the success, because you're out there pushing those edges, like we were saying, pushing the edges and risking, we've got each other in that place. So what our women really want is for us to bring that level of care and presence, and know that who we are isn't all that, all that external stuff. It's this stuff. That is sexiness.
Yeah, it's something we talk about on occasion, and the reason you guys got to have a group of guys around you that are about this work is because of most men nowadays are starving for that acceptance. They're starving and dying of thirst to be, in a room where they can actually be real. They can drop the pretenses. They can drop all the, guy stuff and making jokes and ribbing each other and just be real for a minute, because so many of us still feel like the only guy on the island. We still feel like it's just us, and we know that there is so much more out there. But until we get around a group of guys, they're like, "Oh yeah, me too. Oh yeah, I'm doing that," and then we can actually have those conversations. I know when we have our B-men like board meetings and things, the first thing we do is to check in. How you doing? Wins, losses, what's going on?
Yeah.
How's your heart? And it's those things that really just give us the foundation and the strength and the stuff to move forward. And so we got about a minute left before this next break, but like that issue of not having guys around you. I mean, most guys get so isolated. I think it's something probably in this next segment we need to talk about, because it's just something that happens naturally. You get out of high school, you get out of the military, you get away from these normal groups, then you get married and you have kids, and all of a sudden you're just by yourself. So when we come back after this break, I really want to get into like the group thing.
Yeah, I've got a fun story about a young guy who had a lot of desire and had a crush on a girl and brought it to the group. And it was this beautiful expression of what happened.
Awesome. We'll save that for the next segment. We're the Mad Men of Masculinity. This is KLDC, and we will be right back. Boom.
Boom.
All right, you got anything you want to clear during the break, or should we just go straight into it?
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
Good. Yeah.
All right. And we're back. Mad Men of Masculinity, ALDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City, and on the interwebs, the interwebs, it's wintertime, so it's the interwebs. So the interwebs everywhere.
Yeah. We call it, though, you call it the winter webs, man. It's been 70 degrees out this joint, man. I mean,
I know we finally got snow. Like I'm up in the mountains praying for snow. We finally got some snow, a little bit.
Dude, I played golf yesterday in shorts, man. I mean,
why you gotta be rubbing it in? Salt in the wool. What's wrong with you,
I mean, I'm just saying, man. I'm just, it just is what it is, man.
This is just rudeness, mean.
Those are the winter webs. I needed some guy time, and our guy Torrance reached out, man, and so we did it.
Well, as long as you hang out with Torrance, I can't be mad.
Yeah, no doubt. So we talked, and speaking of that, we talked about the idea of us living in packs, living in circles, living in groups, living in a squad, a platoon, whatever you want to call it. And so Morgan, what's your perspective on? Well, actually, let's take a step back, because we actually at the beginning of the last segment we skipped over. Man, you Morgan, you skillfully redirected away from you, and I was trying to get into who you are and your work with other men. So before I ask the question about the groups, I want to know, how'd you get into your personal work with men?
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that. The skillful redirection. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's uh, I've written a couple books. Here they are: The Invitation Beyond, Reclaiming Healthy Masculinity. I'm really proud of it. It is a book that wrote itself through me. I can't say that I authored it. It really was a just listening really deeply, as was Launch Your Life. And as I said briefly, when I was 18, my dad died, and I was in the dark places of my life alone, like really alone. And the only guidance that I was getting was from adult men, therapists, um, school counselors, administrators, teachers, professors, and they were guiding me down a path that just wasn't congruent with my heart. They were asking, they were saying that I should just compromise, that I should calm down and just play the game, that just do what you're supposed to do and everything will be okay and just trust us. And I'm while looking at them and I'm thinking, you guys are not healthy and you aren't happy and you aren't thriving in the way that I think things ought to be. And I don't know exactly what it was at that point in my life that knew that, but something in me woke up in that darkness, like we've already talked about. And so the reason I do the work that I do, because it started right there. I needed me. I needed me to the man I am now, the coaching work that I do now is sitting with people in those moments, is saying, like, you got to have a conversation with your wife. That's a really intense conversation that you are terrified of, facing the dragon kind of thing. So yeah, so let's do that together. You know that you don't want to get engaged, even though you're supposed to, and everyone's pressuring you to, or you got to leave the job, and you're just like, oh my God, how on earth do I have that conversation? Don't even know how to do that. I don't even know how to begin to like bring that forth in myself. That's the work I do. I sit at those thresholds with men, with young men, with older men, also helping young men who are like, what in the world am I going to do? What do I do in this world? Where do I go? Who am I? How do I bring my passion alive? I know I don't want to go down this road that everyone's telling me to go down, but like, what do I do? Because no one is talking about the alternative paths. That's what I do in the men's groups I lead. That's what I do in the personal coaching work that I do. And even there's couples work in there that's really beautifully honest, where it's not therapy, because I didn't train as a therapist on purpose to say, no, we're going to do this different. We're going to get real and we're going to say what's real and true. So thank you, Kirk, for coming back to that, because that really and it's both the work that I do in the world. I think more significantly, it's who I am in the world. So when I go play ice
Mm.
hockey, I be that same guy. When I go dancing, I be that same guy with my beautiful partner who I'm madly in love with, and just super passionate, honest, beautiful conversation, intimacy. Like, I'm that same guy there too. And I do too struggles just like all of us do with, you know, all the darkness, all the, feelings, all the like just trying to be the best guy I can.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I just wanted to establish that you're not some knucklehead, you're not some just schmuckatelli out here, just kind of, you know, just willy
Thank you.
nilly and everything. And so, but that being said, when you talk about the group aspect of life and the group aspect of whatever you want to call it, healing, growth,
Yeah.
whatever word you want to attribute to it, why is that important?
Yeah, well, again, a number I shared like right before the break that there was this beautiful story of this young guy who had a crush, and he had all this desire, and he was nervous about talking to the girl of like, what is she going to say? What if she doesn't like me back? What if it's too much? What if my desire is dangerous? What if, blah, 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 all these noises? And I've been working with him for a while. So he had a foundation of self, and he knew that if he brought it to group, he would then be committing himself to saying something to her. So he brings it to group, and the group is there's 18-year-old guys and there's 70-year-old guys. So we have and everything in between. And the groups are Tuesday night. They're online, so anyone can participate. We have this beautiful community. So he brings this. And instead of, people joking about it or poking fun at him or saying, just like talking about all the silly, goofy locker room nonsense that goes on, he gets on, like we're all really excited for this crush that he's got, and like he thought, like encourage him, talk through like, well, what if she does this and what if she does that, and then like let him know that it is really beautiful that you have a crush on someone, that you have this feeling in you that wants to come out into the world. So instead of being made fun of, he gets encouraged and gets loved on for that place. And then it cracks open all the other guys. And so then in the coming weeks, not only are we cheering him on, but everyone's saying like, oh, I have this thing, the older guys are going like, oh, I never had a group of guys when I was younger. Like I didn't know, I didn't have anyone to talk to about how do I kiss a girl, about what is it like holding hands, about when do I make the move, about all the like beautiful, juicy, uncomfortable parts of bringing desire to the world, of being sexual in the world, of being just someone who has care and passion in the world. So for me, the groups are places where we're able to bring that stuff. And then the way I do it, this isn't true for all groups of men, because sometimes there's groups of men that can be real toxic and again like cut each other down. Not here. We are there to be stand on the side of each other's soul and to like get into these places and go together, so that then when you fall down, you have a place to come back to and feel like, wow, how awesome that I took that risk. It really didn't go well, but I took the risk. Like I had the courage to step into life. And to me, that's how we break this thing open. Like that's what healthy masculinity is.
Yeah, I love the fact that you have all ages. I know I'm reading a book right now called The Sage, and it's talking about, this next phase of life that we all move into, or we all, especially as men, should be looking forward to and planning for is that sage. Because most of us, and Kirk and I talk about it quite a bit, we didn't have either dad was not present or he was, absent in the home, physically there, but emotionally absent, or he was abusive or whatever. There's only like, I think the statistics are like 10% of guys had the perfect father, and then they had to live up to that. So even they didn't have the perfect relationship. But having that sage, having the, all ages together and having the young men around the older men is something that we just need to promote. We need to create. I mean, so many of us didn't have dads around or older men around to kind of talk about those things and give us those experiences.
Right. And we got to be guys who aren't full of ourselves. Again, it's not about it's about the young guys have got to trust that we have ourselves, that we are living wholeness. Because if I know, for me, when I looked out into the world, I saw a whole bunch of guys out there, and I just thought, dude, you're trying to give me advice, and I just got to say it, like I'm not interested, because I just don't try. I don't trust that you're living in integrity. I don't trust that you're living in wholeness. You aren't taking care of yourself. You got habits that are going all over the place. I'm not interested. I'd rather go alone than I would go with you. And so for me, it's about help, and that's real. I think that's one of the things happening in the culture today, is that and thank you for doing this show and doing the work that you do, because it's starting to shine light on there are healthy guys in the world. So the young guys listening can look out and go like, oh, okay, I have something to look forward to, rather than like all the crazy town that's happening in the political world and all the, everywhere, all over the place. You look out and you're like, wait a second, there is no integrity in it. Like no one's being honest. No one is like playing it, but like what in the world? Like why would I want to live into that world? Like I don't want to live into that world. I want to live into a world of passion and heart and care and love and juiciness. Like like we're those guys, and that's how we become the wise sages. And there's a part of that which is to say, it's not like I don't pretend that I have all my like I got everything together. Like I am in it, like in my groups, like I'm in it just like the guys are in it. Like I bring my challenges with my relationship and the beauty in the stuff in my relationship right in there too. Of look, I'm learning just as much as anyone is learning. I maybe have a little bit more experience, but I got plenty to learn and love doing so.
Yeah, I mean, the only difference between any one man and another is time and distance. Just wait for it; it'll come. So, I mean, it's just something we go through, and then sometimes things come back around. I mean, life is a spiral. Like you think, oh, I already learned that lesson, then it comes back around on a new level, and then you need some support because it's different now. But I mean, it's the same lesson, but it's different now. So,
Yeah.
I mean, having groups around is amazing, and having support like that is something that we should all have. I mean, We got about a minute and a half before this next break. You got anything else you want to throw in? Kurt, you got any questions?
Yeah, I one of the things I've discovered when it comes to groups, especially when you're as a man, when you are a part of a good group of men, our internal talk, our self talk will tell us that we can't be vulnerable. We can't, we can't be just kind of wide open with our heart because we're going to get judged and we're going to get, all the things that you said, Morgan, as far as people criticizing us. But what you often find out is that you actually end up getting accepted. You
Yeah.
actually end up you actually end up experiencing all of the good outcomes that could happen from being in a circle group of guys. And so, I mean, it's one of those weird things that voice in your head will tell you no, but then after the fact, once you cross that vulnerability bridge with a good group of guys, man, you realize like, whoa. I mean, I don't know how I lived life without a group of guys up to now.
Right. And there's acceptance from the group. And the most important
Right.
thing is there starts
Yeah.
to be
Right.
acceptance from self.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
can do
Hmm.
this and I got myself.
Yeah. Speaking of
Yeah.
acceptance, I guess it's time for us to accept ourselves that last break.
Yeah.
We're the Madmen of Masculinity. You're listening to us on KLDC or somewhere on the interwebs all over the world, and we will be right back.
You're stuck on the winter webs, aren't you?
I just made up a word, man.
Yeah, you totally did. You made up something.
I made up something.
Made
I'm using it for now. It's
Yeah.
there. I'm gonna
going
use
with
it.
it.
Going with it. Anything
The
we want to
winter.
cover on the last segment, and then we'll make sure at the end we get all your information. I put your website in the chat, but
Oh, thank you.
How about
Yeah,
we how about we lead off the last segment with your contact information and stuff,
yeah, we'll do that.
sure.
so we don't
Yeah,
try to squeeze it in at 2 seconds
that's
at
great.
the end.
That'll work.
I love that. Thanks, Kirk.
Mhm.
That's why we keep him around. He's got good ideas sometimes.
He's
Yeah,
got good
every
info.
now and
Yeah.
then.
Every once
Every
in a while.
now and then, man.
All right, you ready for the
here
last
we
one?
go.
Ready?
And we're back.
Yes,
We're back. Fourth quarter time. Fourth quarter time. Like a good NFL game. There's one on last night, man. Fourth quarter score changing over and over again, man. And it was pretty cool to watch men, as especially seasoned athletes, um, go through the adversity, the ups and downs of the emotional side of it and all that kind of stuff, and just stick together and all those kinds of things, man. And it's just proof that we need each other. Not only do we need other players, but we need coaches. We need people on the sideline that are looking at the whole field, not just the face mask in front of us. And so
Mm,
so that's why we got people like you around there, Morgan. How can folks get a hold of you? I don't want to skip past that. I don't want to squeeze that into the end. If
yeah,
anybody wants
beautiful.
to just basically reach out and say, hey, what's up? Or whatever, how can folks find you?
Yeah, morganrich.com is my website. I got a special thing for listeners and anyone who tunes in, which is morganrich.com/courage. And there's a free resource there for people to take the step. Like, what are the first steps to take into this place we've been talking about? How do we take that courageous step? So there's a nice resource there. My books are available on the website. Information about the groups is available there as well. I have a beautiful Substack, morganrich.substack.com, where all my writing, videos, that kind of thing. Also YouTube at Morgan Rich Beyonder, videos there as well with stuff that goes back years and years and years. And and social media is a funny thing. I'm active on it, but I'm not like it's one of those things that is, to me, it's a lot about external validation. It's a lot about, we can get super lost in there. So anyway, those are the best ways to get in touch with me. And and just groups are great. The coaching is really meaningful. You can also schedule a time to have a quick conversation with me at that courage, /courage. And we got my sweetheart and I are again piloting a couples coaching program, so you can find out about that there. It's called Love Beyond, and we have a program that we're also piloting called Find Your Path, which is a residential and local place here where we're helping young people build the skills that we're talking about find your path forward? It's for young men and women, and it's really a beautiful program where we do daily practices, where we cook together, eat together, live together, really start to build these foundational pieces. And what is it to have mentors, a loving, beautiful couple that my sweetheart and I are, that are actually modeling communication, connection, love, humility, just joyfulness in the world. So that's a little bit, those are some of the places. And yeah, thanks for asking that.
Awesome.
Oh, it
Good
sounds
stuff.
amazing. It sounds like a great platform, a great offerings. You have, kind of covering the board there with for so many things, which is amazing because it's so needed. I mean, all these
Yeah.
we need every type of flavor of dude out there that's grounded and knows himself and is foundational to be out there to help because there's no one-stop shop. There's no one cure. There's no one magic pill for anything. Like we all need to be out there doing our thing. And yeah, I applaud you for doing that and
Thank
spending
you.
so much time and effort to do that because Kirk and I can't do it alone. We can't get everywhere. We need help. We need people out there. We need a squad. We need, the Mad Ben Mafia doing their thing, and having you on the
Yeah.
show is just showing us that this is a movement that's growing, and it's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, beautiful. You were just talking about football. A couple years back, I had an interaction with Aaron Rodgers. We were at a festival, and there's a lot out there about him. But he is a beautiful, heart-centered man who is interested in this conversation. He is, there's plenty of the stuff about the psychedelics and all the drug use and that sort of thing, which is to me part of the men's movement and part of this like doing our work thing that for me is it's deeply meaningful, but also it's a tangent. So I want to step aside from that whole conversation and just be that, dude is a heart-centered man who is, he won his first Super Bowl and had this moment, which I've actually reflected on so many times. If I watch these guys, like we won the Super Bowl and there's a little bit of like,
no,
is this all there is?
Yeah.
Like, wait, now we're at the pinnacle of the experience that I've been working for my whole life. And it's not quite as fulfilling as I expected it to be. Because again, it's part of that external validation thing of it's all about perception and it's all about the external thing. And inside is where the work is. And one of the beautiful part, I kept pushing Aaron on a lot of different pieces about this kind of thing of like, wait a second, what about your heart? What about like what if you had an organization that was all heart centered? And he's like, no, man, that's the NFL can't do that. I'm like, yeah, but you could do that. You're the MVP. And he said his favorite part of the whole thing is the interaction with the guys, is mentoring the other players, is the camaraderie that's in there of fighting, fighting for the game, of being in there in the places. And that he's just said, I think the reason that he's hanging on in his career, maybe yes, is to win another Super Bowl. And it's because he loves the game and he loves the men and he loves the groups and the connection. And he works it in there just like we're working it here. So that was a pretty fun moment of connected in with
All
him.
right, dude. So here we go. You broke it open. I didn't. That's exactly what the football game I was talking about last night. And I had this whole thing in my head as I was watching it, and it was specifically involving Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, interesting.
Last game of the season. Division rivals. Whoever wins goes to the playoffs. And you got between him and Lamar Jackson. I mean, these guys have won like 6 MVPs of the last 14. In the fourth quarter, they're going back and forth, and the Aaron Rodgers, of course, now he's playing with the Steelers this year. So he drives down, and man, all he has to do is kick an extra point. His kicker, after they score a touchdown, his kicker misses an extra point, and it's like, dude, But and then go down, and then the Ravens come down, and they got a short field goal, and their kicker ends up missing it too. But the one thing that stood out to me as I was watching the game, well, two things. First of all, Jalen Ramsey sucked. Anyhow,
Easy.
but the other thing was, I mean, in that game he did. But the other thing that Aaron Rodgers never, like, he never got too high and he never got too low, regardless of the circumstances in that game. And like, he wasn't freaking out. He was, his face was just exactly the same, man. And I was like, man, I wonder if that goes back to the little hut he was in doing the ayahuasca thing in the documentary.
Yeah.
Really help.
But just, I mean,
The
that
quiet.
was a joke. But just, just finding that place, man, of just like, here are the circumstances of the moment. I'm going to be in the moment, and and I'm gonna ride this thing out. And they ended up winning the game, man, and now they're in the playoffs next week.
Yeah, and what I would say is again, the ayahuasca and the silent, the quiet dark
Yeah,
retreat,
yeah,
piece.
hmm
Um, you know, he is a heart-centered dude, and he's in the same
right.
struggle that we're all in, of how do we find meaning and how do we find fulfillment. And here he is on this huge stage working that in an environment that is not open to that kind of thing. And so there
hmm
is again, I had a really interesting conversation with him about that. But to bring it back to us, is this place of part of the work I do is called training for the unknown. And what it is it's starting to get really good at being uncomfortable. And so I use cold water, and I use breath retention, and I even go to yoga classes where I put myself under pressure. I put myself in adverse circumstances. And that breath that we talked about earlier, of coming back home, of once you have the practice of doing it for 5 minutes, just sitting here, then go out and I go play hockey, or I go to a dance, or I go, um, you know, just out into life and try to bring that same level of presence. And so the way that I sort of turn that up and ratchet that up is by saying, okay, so by in the morning, I go into cold water. And my commitment isn't to be like some macho wanting to brag about how long I stay in a cold plunge, because, it's because, again, that's all the external validation thing of like, yeah, I can stay for 9.5 minutes in a cold plunge. It's 37 degrees. Like, okay, that's great. There's benefits to that. But like, it's just like, it's the same thing that we've been doing all along, which is trying to just prove ourselves like by some external variable of people like, yeah, well, you're better than I am. That's not it. It's about getting uncomfortable. And then the commitment I make is to have a moment of calm, right? So I go into that darkness, like the dark retreat, like the whatever it might be, and get connected to myself and go like, okay, here I am in now a moment that has a lot of stimulation, that has a lot of things going on. Can I come back to my breath? Can I come back to myself? Can I be right here in an NFL game, fourth quarter, and that's not the environment I exist in. I exist in like conversations with my sweetheart, conversations with my kids, interactions with my men, like that. And can I be in wildly adverse situations and stay present and stay calm, knowing that I'm okay even when it's really intense. In fact, it's really joyful to be in the delicious intensity of life, And so the training for the unknown is getting good at, it's that daily practice of really getting good at learning. I can do hard things. Like I got this right here.
That's why, I mean, I love the work you're doing and the fact that we promote so much and say it almost every show that you gotta have a group of guys around you because you don't know what you don't know. You haven't had all the experiences, and there's gonna be somebody that you know that can help you through an experience because everything
Mm.
feels like it's the finale. Every new experience feels like, this is strange, this is uncomfortable, I feel like I'm dying because it's a new experience. But having somebody around that's had that experience that you can lean on, talk to, get some sage advice from, just having a group of guys that can be like, yeah, I've been there, or we're going through it together. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is, he's at the pinnacle of his profession. He's still just a dude. He's going through the
Yep.
same things we're going through on his own level. And so I'm sure the reason, like you said, he's continued playing because of that camaraderie. I know I think back on my military career in high school and things like that. And that camaraderie we have with those guys and those friendships, those are the best friendships you have, ever almost,
Mhm.
because it's
Mhm.
hard to continue those without consciously going, hey, I'm at a certain age. I need to have a group of guys. I need to either curate this. If there's not one around me, I need to make one, or I need to find a group and join
Yep.
it so that I can be as healthy as possible I can possibly be.
Yep. Yep. And again, for me, it comes back to that place. I went to a lot of men's retreats, my own kind of dark retreats, with guys, and I felt alone for a lot of my life. After my dad died, I didn't have an adult, he wasn't present, and I had, like I said, I had trouble finding guys. So I went to a men's retreat, and there were a bunch of really good dudes there, and we got into some deep territory. And I came back home and I said to my friend, I need I need more adult men in my life. And we went out and we found a group of guys, and we started meeting every month, and we became really close friends, and we got into all the, sex, money, success, vulnerability, um, you know, all the stuff, and we're able to, our relationships, our parenting, and just able to really be there with one another. And it was a group of guys that I really respected and trusted and cared for. And that is an important piece. It's not just any group of dudes. It's
Yeah,
got to be
no.
a group of dudes who
Yeah.
who are able to hold space for you and be there for you. And not, to me, I'm very sensitive to the teasing and the masculine, to me, that's can be really destructive. I want the encouraging, beautiful, healthy, masculine place of caring and holding and standing for each other fiercely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last thoughts, Kirk, before we sign off and have to
Man,
say goodbye
Morgan
to Mr.
Rich, I appreciate you, sir. MorganRich.com. Thanks a ton, man, for being on. We definitely got to run this back at some point in the future, man. We just skimmed the surface here, man. We got to get
Yeah.
deep on some stuff. So
Love it.
thanks a ton for coming
Anytime.
on, man.
Anytime.
We really appreciate that, man. We really appreciate it.
Honored to be here. Thanks
Well,
for what you do, guys.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being part of the Madman Mafia. Now you're an official member, and make sure you check out morganrich.com, morganrich.com/courage. Special deal for all the Madman Mafia listeners. And until next time, I'm Jason B. Kendrick. That's Kirk M. Samuels. That's Morgan Rich. We're the Madmen, and we are out.
Out.